Wagner just dropped another gem. Let's just say it gave me a good laugh. I also want to take a moment to apologize to those who think I'm repeating myself. Yes, I may sound like a broken record, but when Linden Lab keeps making the same stupid decisions, we obviously need to keep talking about it. This is now my third time covering this disaster, and I really hope I won't need to revisit it again. Although, at this stage, that's entirely up to Brad Oberwager. The statement from CEO Brad Oberwager is interesting but also frustrating. It feels like he's trying to course correct while still defending the original approach, which completely misfired. His response acknowledges the backlash, but skirts around the real issue, that Linden Lab failed to engage its own creator community before launching this AI-generated campaign. And that brings us to their latest grand vision. Linden Lab wants to triple Second Life's population and 3 times what creators make. Bold, ambitious, eye-catching. And yet, their chosen strategy to achieve this: AI-generated ads that completely misrepresent the platform. That's right. In a move that perfectly encapsulates "we didn't think this through," Linden Lab decided to market the world's most user-generated, creative-driven virtual space with lazy, soulless AI imagery and stock photos. Because nothing screams, "Come join this thriving community of artists, builders, and role players," like a generic AI render that could just as easily be advertising a mobile NFT scam. Naturally, the community backlash was swift and brutal. And in response, Brad Oberwager hit pause, gave a half-hearted apology, and made it sound like this was just a small misstep in a larger, totally not ill-conceived plan. He claims that AI ads were never meant to run long-term, but the fact is, they should never have run in the first place. Not long-term, not short-term, not ever. Claiming they were just tests and welcoming community input, yet making no actual request for feedback. If Oberwager truly wanted input, he would have involved the community before launching an AI campaign that was doomed to fail. My YouTube channel is proof that the community has a voice, and Linden Lab had every opportunity to tap into it. What happened to the Zoom calls? Granted, I don't think they are of much value, but as far as I know, none have been organized since the first week of January, and I clearly remember some bloggers providing Linden Lab with marketing advice in one of them. So for Oberwager to now say he wants to listen to the community after wasting money on an AI campaign, that's beyond ironic. It's almost insulting. It's as if they think we don't remember their previous blunders, or that we'll just nod along and accept their mistakes without question. Why were AI ads always going to fail? First off, Second Life isn't your typical generic game or another boring Metaverse clone. It's literally handcrafted by the people who inhabit it. Real, creative humans with fantastic imaginations. So picture their reaction when Linden Lab decided to advertise this one-of-a-kind world using dull, cookie-cutter, AI-generated images. Spoiler alert, it wasn't pretty. Anyone clicking on these ads expecting polished avatars quickly found themselves in a beautifully messy world of real creativity and probably felt totally misled. And here's another thing. Gamers and Metaverse enthusiasts are sharp. They know exactly when they're being fed a load of corporate, algorithmic nonsense. AI-generated ads scream laziness and corporate detachment. Exactly the opposite of what Second Life represents. People want authenticity, not something whipped up in 5 seconds by a computer that's never even set virtual foot in world. But hey, don't get me wrong, AI itself isn't the villain here. It can be pretty handy for analytics, automation, and targeting the right people. But having AI replace real, heartfelt, creator-made content, that's like sending a robot to a poetry slam. It just doesn't work. So AI wasn't the problem. it was how Linden Lab used it. Or rather, misused it spectacularly. Alright, let's talk about the real elephant in the virtual room, shall we? Even if those AI ads had somehow magically succeeded, Linden Lab's trying to triple Second Life's population without fixing the leaky boat they're sailing in. You don't invite millions aboard the Titanic without patching up the holes first, right? Let's start with the onboarding experience. What a delightful disaster. New users log in, get confused, spin around for a few days, and poof! They vanish quicker than my patience watching Linden Lab's marketing strategy. Honestly, retention feels like a footnote, as if keeping new players around mattered less than a flashy ad. Speaking of delightful disasters, let's revisit the Hivid debacle for a second. This wasn't just some minor issue. It highlighted a serious disconnect and a lack of transparency from Linden Lab. People lost money, confusion reigned, and despite the obvious legal ramifications, the company's response was a single vague statement, followed by radio silence. And let's not overlook the notable absence of Philip Rosedale in this critical conversation. I invited Linden Lab leadership to discuss the matter openly, not to blame or point fingers, but to provide some clarity, reassure the community, and openly address an issue nobody wants to talk about, but everybody knows exists. Yet here we are, still waiting. And speaking of tough topics, let's address another one lurking beneath the surface: the unauthorized use of real-world trademarks. It might seem harmless, but this kind of imitation could lead to serious legal trouble down the road. In today's hyper-connected world, thinking you can quietly skirt legal boundaries without consequence is optimistic at best. But beyond these legal and ethical challenges, there's also a real missed opportunity here. Linden Lab continues to throw resources at AI-generated fluff nobody asked for, completely overlooking the real assets right in front of them. The incredibly talented creators who deeply understand Second Life. Imagine ads featuring role-playing communities, stunning fashion showcases, incredible photography, or buzzing nightlife scenes. Wagner made a smart suggestion about targeting gamers already enjoying immersive virtual worlds, like Sea of Thieves, GTARP, or World of Warships. These players could naturally resonate with Second Life's rich, immersive environment. But hey, what do I know? I'm just someone who actually spends time in Second Life. So let's wrap this up clearly. Second Life isn't struggling because it lacks creative talent or passionate communities. It's struggling because the leadership at Linden Lab consistently overlooks its greatest asset: us, the users, creators, bloggers, and enthusiasts who have invested years into making this world uniquely thriving and endlessly appealing. Brad Oberwager and Linden Lab, if you truly want to triple the population, boost creator earnings, and position Second Life for future success, start by genuinely listening. Not after the disaster, but before you launch your next big idea. Engage with your community directly, transparently, and respectfully. And for the love of virtual worlds everywhere, stop treating AI as a cheap shortcut. While Wagner's article gave me a good laugh, he did get one thing unintentionally right. Linden Lab desperately needs to get back in touch with the very people who made Second Life remarkable in the first place. Until then, every campaign, AI-generated or otherwise, will continue to crash and burn. Now, the ball's in your court, Brad. Choose wisely. Thanks so much for watching. And again, apologies if I sound like a broken record. Let's all hope there won't be a part 4. Until next video, keep your pixels sharp and your creativity sharper.